Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and after a surprising opening weekend, the OpTic Texas boys are trying to figure out how they can improve their performance going into the rest of the year, especially in the search and destroy which has been troubling them so far. First port of call, potentially changing the bomb carrier from Scump over to Shotzzy. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, so that's the best thing you can do. Tell the channel reach new people, please do subscribe as well if you have not yet already. First of all, this other was pretty crazy from lunchtime. I haven't really seen all that much of this being used before. Didn't really know this was a spot you could get into. But yeah, here we are on Berlin. You can actually jump all the way onto the top of this statue, onto the back of the horse at this guy's head. So, well, it's pretty cool. Who knows if this is actually viable? I think in certain 1v1 situations in Search and Destroy, this could be pulled out to good effect. Who knows? Maybe you could even use this to watch a cross in Search and Destroy. I know some people use the sniper rifle in this building, and I'm not really sure you're going to see all that much in Respawn. But yeah, it's definitely a spot that could catch people off guard. And sometimes the characters in this game do kind of blend in, right? So maybe you could actually get away with this. It's especially if it's unexpected. We did see, especially towards the end of Modern Warfare, that people started to pull out all these spots they've been saving the entire season. Now, look, who knows if anyone's going to pull this out? I'm sure the pro players have the movement to pull it off, and then maybe in a 1v1 situation this could work out if in a very specific circumstance you know where the other guy is, or maybe, well, try and get up here early for a sniper pick. Who knows what the plan might be? But still, pros might consider pulling this one out at some point or another. This also from the New York Sunrunners, their no pressure documentary, kind of like a vision behind the scenes type thing with them. I'm pretty sure with Crimsix and the rest of the guys as well, coming out here in just a couple of days, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Really cool to see other organizations getting involved in the content. Of course, look, this team, they haven't had the greatest start to the season. I'm sure there's still plenty of time for these guys to turn things around. Not ideal though, really looking at the standings. They only play 5 games, right, in terms of the qualifiers for Major 1. Things are already getting sketchy for some of these teams to actually qualify for the Major. The New York guys, of course, have got plenty of work to do, but going to be great to see some of the behind the scenes action here. Just, yeah, just love content like this. Good to see other organizations getting involved, most certainly. These then are the standings as they sit at the present time. The opening weekend has come and gone. That means this is how things look. So right now, the qualification for the World Championship is aligned exactly with the qualification for the first Major, right? But of course, as things go on, stage 2, stage 3, it's the individual 5-game qualifiers that the teams have to play that count for the seeding, as opposed to, well, this seeding, but right now they're in parallel. So of course, still, only the top 8 teams in the world are going to go to the World Championship this year, but all the teams go to the Majors, thankfully, especially because it's OpTic's Major, and there's a reasonable chance they don't even make it right now. In fairness, they do have a nice map count here, at least in 4 to 6, given they were 0-2, like a series win-loss, which does mean if there are some tiebreakers, right, for potentially getting into the top 8 to start in winners bracket at the Major, they still have a decent chance to come out there on top. But it's not ideal for OpTic, because I'm pretty sure next they play Paris, then they play Ultra, then they play the Boston Bridge. So look, if they go 2-1 in those 3 matches, then they should qualify, I believe, 2-3 with the map count that they have. If they only win 1 of those next 3, I'm pretty sure they will be starting in losers. And New York are in a very similar boat, trying to an even tougher boat, because they don't have kind of the map win-loss to back them up here. So difficult spot for a lot of these guys, and even if OpTic do make it out in the winners brackets, they probably won't have the greatest seeds, so they're going to play one of these top dogs up here in the very first rounds. But well, exciting stuff. We'll see how things progress. Plenty of time, of course, for all these rosters to turn things around as things progress. We also discussed this yesterday. I didn't actually mention this in yesterday's video, or at least the image itself. I put it on the thumbnail. But well, Formal was talking about the monitor delays that supposedly were going on. I believe what is happening here is that Roger's set up this kind of setup here with his monitor. The people in the Hex quarters can watch from the POVs of the players playing in the matches themselves. Probably, you know, some good content you could do as a result of this. Now, supposedly the players reckon this was causing some delay on their actual setups themselves that, well, Formal talked about yesterday. Credit to the players really not coming out and tweeting about this stuff, because I think people always perceive it in certain ways if you lose the series. But still, I'm kind of surprised in a way that I guess they kind of felt this, but wasn't really sure what was wrong. After the London series, they didn't really do anything right. It was kind of after the Minnesota series, they were like, okay, something's dodgy here. And I mean, yeah, we imagine they're going to get rid of this or something for the upcoming week. And if they come out and smoke Paris, then people will say, okay, well, actually, fair enough. This probably did have some significant degree of impact. But obviously, they realized there were other things they could work on as well, which is, what they've tried to do, right? And especially on the search and destroy front. Thought this was actually cool from Pred, because I'm pretty sure he turned on his stream to like maybe 90 followers or 90 subscribers, sorry, a couple of days ago. And within this one stream, he was up over 1,000. So really cool to see from Pred. Like, yeah, definitely a really personable guy. Finally, a rookie in this league with personality. And yeah, he was kind of breaking down this match, this game 5, round 11. Pretty ridiculous stuff. Like, yeah, the aim punch that Lily gets when he gets punched in. Like, that's the thing. I used to really get frustrated with the panic knives back in the day. But the double punch in this game is so fast that it's almost kind of similar, right? And it beats your aim up to the sky, so he couldn't kill the bomb planter. Like, yeah, just so unlucky, right? OpTic continue to find some creative ways to lose round 11s. Like, they've had plenty of ways last year. This year, they're finding some new ways again. But I thought he made a great play. Just is kind of unfortunate. But still, their Search and Destroy has definitely been a big point of concern. They're 1 in 4 so far this season in their Search and Destroys, kind of reminiscent of last year where their Search and Destroy struggles were certainly evident at the start of last season. Whether that's due to hesitation or other factors, certainly something the OpTic guys are considering. Scump says, like, lack of coordination in some moments against London costed them hard. But well, look, I'll share a couple of snippets here from some articles from Sean Collins that have come out the last couple of days about what the OpTic guys behind the scenes are saying they're going to switch things up here in their Search and Destroy, especially to try and make some improvements, right? Because Rambo goes on to say in this first article here that, I mean, look, their mindset this year is way different to what they were doing last year and also the Dallas Empire guys, because, well, as Rambo says, that being Lussier, from what I've heard, of course, he wasn't part of OpTic Chicago last year, but seemingly what they were doing last year is maybe not taking the losses in the most positive mindset, or, you know, blaming things outside of their control. That's why I was kind of happy that the OpTic guys, of course, Formal did mention this monitor thing on stream, but the players didn't tweet about it, because, yeah, maybe Rambo even said, like, let's just keep this off the timeline, just because, as he says, the way we are doing things this year is very different from what they were doing last year, especially with post-game talks and taking losses in a positive mindset, blaming ourselves for the mistakes that we can fix, instead of looking at the negatives of the game or things that are out of our control. That's the thing, like, you know, people always say OpTic's excuses and stuff, and there were certainly some ones that were being thrown around last year, and Rambo's maybe coming in and saying, look, let's just focus on the things we can control, what can we do better in these situations, and then, well, taking that mindset, I'm sure, is going to be a big positive of these guys going forwards. And of course, well, translating that into their Search and Destroy performance, the question that's been raised, who exactly the bomb carrier should be for this OpTic squad? Because we talked about it after the kickoff classic, that Illy was sniping in that one Desert Siege Search and Destroy match up against Los Angeles Thieves. They lost that game. Illy kind of got outclassed by Octane in that one, and I think Dashy and Illy kind of talked about it and said, okay, look, maybe I'll snipe, that being Dashy, going into the start of the year. Now, look, that hasn't really worked out too well. Even yesterday we were discussing that people said, like, maybe Dashy should learn when to put it away, especially on the offensive side. Maybe it's not all that powerful in this game, especially with some of the additional changes that are being made with GAing attachments and all this type of stuff. So I imagine there's still some work to be done on that side for the OpTic guys, but also who's actually carrying the bomb. Last year for OpTic it was Scump, and last year for Dallas Empire, the two teams that have merged, it was Shotzzy. So, well, so far it's been Scump in this game. Sendo has a couple of interesting words here to say, like, the issues may look similar to last year, but there's a different strategy in place, kind of echoing what Rambo had to say. I think a bigger thing last year was that there were times where our brains would go out the window, would play really dumb in ways that were match defining. This year, I don't think there's going to be as much of that. As long as we are constantly being proactive, we aren't going to be having those kind of issues this year. So, well, I guess if they're going to fix the problems, because so far things have seemed somewhat similar, but I would imagine they get things together this year at some point or another. And then, well, this is the discussion about the bomb carrier. So as Rambo says, it was Scump's duties last year and it was Shotzi's duties for their respective teams. The benefit to Shotzzy being bomb carrier would be a slippery movement, but that's also why he's lethal off the bomb site. We obviously saw that right in the kind of the final map against Minnesota. Shotzzy was doing some crazy things, like really making some fantastic plays, like being able to go rogue in that sense that helped them get to the round 11. He can traverse the map very quickly. OpTic Texas struggles over the weekend, like they were 1 in 4 in the mode, including the kickoff classic. And well, this is what Rambo has to say. Last year they had a system where Scump carried the bomb. We're still trying to figure out who our bomb carrier is. We had Shotzzy, who's obviously a really talented player in terms of movement and ability to pinch and make plays around the map. We are still trying to hash out how things are going and what our strengths are, so we have the best recipe for success. So that's the thing. I think a lot of people said in this particular clip right in this London game, when I think it was a 4 versus 3 that OpTic had in the round 11, that maybe they were slightly too hesitant right in this round 11, like a Scump had the bomb, like, okay, was he holding back a little bit too much? Should he have just gone in and gone for the plant? Should they play a little bit more aggressive? That's the thing. Do you want to put Shotzzy on the bomb? Because last year, I think in a sense, in Search and Destroy, Shotzzy, you know, if you're carrying the bomb, you're always going to be somewhat limited. You're going to get naded, you're going to get killed off the bomb. Like, do you want a guy like Shotzzy with all the gun skill and the ability and the movement he has to be the one carrying the bomb? But also you want it to be one of your SMG players really that can go in quickly and actually get there if required to. And especially the bomb sites, a lot of them in this game are very close range. You probably want the guy who's planting to have the SMG in hand. So who knows exactly what the plan could be here for OpTic. But I think last year Scum obviously carried it for the OpTic guys. That worked out sometimes. I think a lot of people say so far this year some hesitancy on Scump's side has maybe costed them certain rounds. So maybe the idea would be, okay, let's just try Shotzzy out on it, see if that works, and you know, have Scump play more traditional in Search and Destroy. And sometimes that might mean that Shotzzy goes less rogue in certain situations and doesn't make all these crazy flanks and crazy movements that he has been doing previously. But if anything, some of the separation that OpTic have seen has kind of costed them in Search and Destroy. So maybe it is better to put Shotzzy on the bomb and just have the rest of the guys follow them up and play quite traditional. Because at the start of this game, when people started playing Search and Destroy, like the OpTic guys were saying, this gameplay is very similar to Infinite Warfare. Just all stack up and hit something together. But so far, some teams haven't really been doing that. Maybe that's a strategy that OpTic could consider employing to turn their season on its head. This also from Deserters. They come out with their power rankings from the first week of the game. And I honestly don't think these are too bad, really, just given the situation. Just frankly remarkable to see OpTic and New York down here, but given the current standings, I guess you can't really look too far past it. One thing I guess I would question, I don't really question it too much, frankly, is Surge number 1, Ultra number 2, because of course, like, Surge did beat Ultra this past week, but then again, it's 1-1 on the season between Toronto and Seattle, and it was the grand finals of the Kickoff Classic where Toronto won on LAN, so I'd probably give that series slightly more weight than the 3-2 that Seattle got over Toronto very recently here, but still, I think you can kind of go either way. FaZe there or thereabouts. London up to 5th, Los Angeles Thieves in 4th right now. They haven't really changed all that much, but yeah, I'm sure this list is going to change very rapidly as the season progresses as well. Some of the teams that right now might be struggling down here are probably going to find their way up the pecking order sooner rather than later. This is also from Breaking Point that was kind of crazy, some overall KD leaders from the weekend. 2 of the guys on London, 1.21 for Gizmo, 1.14 for Afro, Major Maniak has a 1.15, Sib of course up here as well, but if anything slightly under the radar is Cellium number 1 at a 1.24 KD so far this year. Like, I guess this is just stage 1, week 1, doesn't necessarily include the Kickoff Classic, but we kind of saw similar things, frankly, at the Kickoff itself, right, where Cellium was dominating some of those maps for FaZe. So right now, probably, I mean, last year there was all this talk about, okay, Simp aBeZy, who's the best player on FaZe. This year it may well be Cellium already, and he may well be trying to continue that trend as the season progresses. Impressed by the London guys here, though, of course, and Sib has clearly been a revelation for Seattle so far as well. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on a like button, tell us the YouTube gods it's a good video, and I like you should see it as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thanks for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
In the end, maybe some nerves coming out in this round 11 is their first match after all here in Vanguard, but here we go.
I'm done.
Standy watching over his teammate.
What the bro? I would lose so much. For we had a 2-piece. This guy's not even looking. Look, he's not even looking. He just turned around.